The first edition of the Coin Flip. I'm your host, Amy Paige Gocher, and today we've got two great analysts on our show, Tyler Wesner and Taylor McGregor. We've got some exciting topics to talk about today, so let's go ahead and start. All right, so with the changes in the postseason of baseball, do y'all agree with the addition of a second wild card?
I don't think so. I think baseball traditionally, it's a long sport that always has multiple game series. You play 160 plus games in the regular season, and then you have one game afterwards that decides it. We saw last year with the Braves and the Cardinals, a fluke play with an infield fly that didn't get called basically decides the Braves season pretty much. So I think you need, if you're going to have two wild card teams, maybe have them play a 3-game series, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just go back to the original one wild card team, because right now we see that it's not working very well.
That's funny you mentioned the Braves, because actually Chipper Jones was one of the main players who obviously plays for the Braves, who is not in favor of two wild card teams unless they were played a 2 out of 3 best series to see which one would go. So I think it's because of what happened last year to the Braves that he kind of feels this way, but I think
of course he's got to be a little bitter.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's really important that we look back at the history of Major League Baseball and how this postseason has kind of evolved. Prior to 1969, the only two teams that went to the postseason were the pennant winners from each league that met in the World Series, and then of course they added the National League Championship Series, the American League Championship Series, and then in 1993 they put into place, it was first played in 1995, where that division series was added with that new wild card. And something that critics said at that time was a lot of how they didn't want one team or one game to determine a 162-game season. But I think with this addition of the wild card, it gives a lot of teams that wouldn't be competing for anything in late September something to compete about. And I think that's really important in Major League Baseball, to give all those extra markets a feel of postseason baseball while still having the most exclusive postseason in all of Major League Sports.
And it's also, too, about TV ratings, the money. That's what drives this business. You get a one-game playoff, do-or-die situation.
Right.
People are going to tune in and watch that, and it's all about the dollars. So that's probably why they went with this decision in the first place.
Right. All right.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to add, like you had mentioned with the Cardinals, in 2011 when they beat the Braves in that final 162nd game of the season, they went on to win the World Series, and without that wild card, they wouldn't have been there.
Wouldn't
so
have been
I think
there.
that's something to keep in mind when we add this second wild card.
All right, second topic. Other professional leagues such as the MLB and NHL, they allow high school students to enter the draft as soon as they graduate high school. NFL does not. Do you think that the NFL should alleviate their rules so that they can allow high schoolers to enter the draft?
I do not. I think that the way that our system is set up with the NFL, the draft being able to go after 3 years of eligibility, it kind of sets up college football to be a free minor league market for NFL teams. Obviously, with baseball, you can go out of junior college, out of high school, or then 3 years of eligibility. But the way our system is set up, it makes for a really prestigious college football atmosphere while still preserving kind of that minor league market for the NFL. And I think that's really important.
Right. You know, I'm kind of on the fence about it because on one hand, these high school players are $170. You know, they don't have the physical strength that the guys who've been in the NFL for years have, and so they're going to go in and face these linebackers and just get destroyed. But at the same time, if they have this God-given talent, why shouldn't they not be able to go into the NFL draft as 18? Because can't they go and fight for their country?
And I think it kind of depends on the sport, too. You have the NBA that lets kids, after 1 year of college, go to the NBA. And basketball is a little different sport than football, not as physical. You can kind of get away a little bit, not being as big, as strong as some of the other guys. But I agree with you. I think NFL, it needs to be like with baseball. You have 3 years of college, and then you go. Make the kids get an education. That's the most important thing. Because with the NBA, the players, they go to college for 1 year. They don't care about school. They don't go to class. And then they're on to the NBA. In NFL, they're doing a good job, like Major League Baseball. Let them get an education and then go on and fulfill their professional sports.
Absolutely. And I just want to add, Jadeveon Clowney is a prime example of someone that comes out of high school. Maybe he does have the chance to compete in that NFL, but I don't think they should bend the rules based upon a small percentage of people coming out of high school being able to compete in that NFL, especially since they, like Major League Baseball, they don't have somewhere to develop before they make it to the big leagues.
All right, so here's a hot topic that's going on everywhere pretty much right now. Should college athletes be getting paid to play for their school?
It's definitely a hot topic, like you said, and I might have a little bit of a biased opinion just because I'm a student, but I think they shouldn't be paid. They get a full ride of education. That can be anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. That's a lot of money. They get their education paid for free. They don't have to pay for books, don't have to pay for rooms, don't have to pay for classes. And yes, they might not have as much spending money as other players in different, in like the professional leagues, but I think clearly if you give them this extra money, they're going to think more highly of themselves, think that they're better than everybody else, and that's not true. And also, if you're going to do it, it has to be fair. You can't give the football players X amount of money compared to the swimmers or the golfers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And there's many reasons why I'm against this, but I think in a sense, college athletes are getting paid, like we mentioned, with tuition, $30,000 to $50,000 a year. That's as much as the average American gets paid per year. And then you add on top of that all the benefits that they get. And not to mention the exposure. I mean, you look at J.J. Watt. This is a prime example for this case. He goes to Central Michigan, is unhappy with the coaching there, drops out of football, and then walks on at Michigan and ends up being the number 11 pick in the NFL.
Right.
Without that exposure at Wisconsin, he's not given that opportunity.
See, and I'm going to have to disagree with y'all. I do think that athletes should be getting paid. Wipe out their scholarship and pay them what they would be getting in that scholarship as their salary.
Okay.
Revenues alone, Arkansas for 2012 football season brought in $69.2 million with a total revenue of $39.9 million. Mm-hmm. Alabama had $82 million revenue with a profit of $45 million. Football alone. These guys, the players that go out there, are bringing this money in. So why should they not be getting some of that back?
Okay.
Well, I think that money goes to other programs. Obviously, we see the breadwinners as the football and basketball programs, but that money is going directly back into the other sporting events. It's not like they're pocketing that money. And not to mention, it's really only the top 20 major market schools that are benefiting from that. Another example, Florida Gulf Coast League, which was kind of the Cinderella story in last year's NCAA March Madness, they almost lost money by going that far into the tournament because of the air flight, the expenses, the parties put on. So I think that's an overstatement to say that programs make that much money because not every program
and
is
I'm
like
not saying that these students need to get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, but
Even
there should be
Johnny
a salary
Manziel,
cap.
who brings
Absolutely
in so
not.
much money to Texas A&M?
Absolutely not. There should be a salary cap on it,
Okay.
but wipe out the scholarships and let them get that salary.
Okay.
But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on the Coin Flip, and we hope to see you again next time.